It's mindset.
which is really cool.
Feedback on the cake. And there we go.
Love it. Hi, happy Monday. And I'm so excited that we have tons to report from IT Expo, all of the energy and success that we had from speaking and doing the meetups. I mean, what a powerful week we had.
We did. It was so great. The energy was there, the excitement was there, and everybody talked about the conference being so good and positive for them. I even saw, an old friend that we haven't connected in a while. It was great. It was great to connect and see everyone and meet some new faces and really kick off business in a great way. The momentum for the year continues to be strong, Shar. It continues to be, really positive for folks, and I'm excited to see where we end up at the end of the quarter.
Well, and guys, it's the perfect segue into, really looking at who we met with, Ty. We met with C-suite executives, we met with mid-market managers, we even met with entrepreneurs who are on this next step of building their business. And so you and I were with thousands and thousands of people who really are just saying, where do I go next?
Yeah, yeah. We even met a family office, a private equity group who's in there. But yeah, no, we work with people who are constantly evaluating where they are and what else they could be. Right. Our session, mergers and acquisitions, was really phenomenal because we followed on a group that had already done one, and they were talking about their experience in doing a merger in that case. And then we got to talk about what happens after the merger and what happens and what people need to take care of. And we had somebody in the room who had completed theirs and they were talking about their experience, Ben. And so it was just overall good to see the value being added and the immense amount of connections, network relationships that people took away from the experience.
Well, and that's where many of the conversations can't happen on AI, guys. They just can't. It's not a part of what we want as people. We want to talk to someone who has that empathy, that emotion, that understanding, because sometimes that facial expression, maybe that moving towards them, Ty, even when we were on stage and, some of the conversations there was like, where do you start? Who do you talk to? They weren't asking AI to answer those questions. They really wanted to know, Ty, did you have this experience? Did you help someone inject capital to their strategy? Did someone even got an LOI during our session, guys? This was how powerful it was when he just was like, what do I do next? And so we want real life, real people experiences. And Ty, why is that so important, especially in this new age of technology and what's happening?
It's important because I think that we are very glassy-eyed about AI right now, and we think that it can be the all things to everyone. And it has its place, and it's very critical, and it's very valuable. I can't. There isn't a day I wake up and it's not part of my activities and workflows. But it's not the end all and be all. It's not the thing that will get you to the $1 million that you're going to make this year when they say, oh, more AI is going to make more millionaires than ever before. It's part of the strategy, not the whole strategy. And so you do have to come, you have to connect, you have to build relationships, you have to meet resources, you have to engage with partners. All of these things are still necessary. AI just makes it a lot easier and a lot more organized.
Yes. So Ty, many of our, networking opportunities, even our cruise that we went on, a lot of these professionals were asking like, I'm trying to get to this next stage of my business. I'm trying to get to this next stage of my career. And Ty, time and time again, you and I were bombarded with the questions like, how do we get there? And so that's why CoachCon exists. That's why CoachCon is going to be kicking off in March, guys, because we know that this topic about you in your executive role needs this support. So let's tell them about CoachCon and the topics that we're going to be going over.
Yeah, one of the reasons we decided to do this topic as well, too, is because we're seeing a number of changes in the industry, right? We're seeing both on the layoff side, there's like Amazon and Hotwire and like a lot of these companies or Verizon, I'm sorry, a lot of these companies are doing layoffs. And when they do layoffs, the market now has this overflow of executives, senior leaders, people with experience. And a lot of these folks think, okay, well, what can I do that gives me flexibility, that allows me to work from home, that gives me an engaged audience, that allows me to use my knowledge and my tenure in my corporate career. And everyone's doing the applications on LinkedIn for other jobs, but the job market right now is difficult. It's very at the senior level. A lot of companies are not making decisions. They're keeping the talent they have. They're not necessarily expanding into new talent. There is really like a level set because our economy is a little bit like, up and down, right? We don't really know. There's a little bit of uncertainty in the market and so on, even though the Nasdaq's up, etc. However, that all said, as people evaluate what their career options or professional revenue earning options are, coaching is a viable one. Coaching becomes something that becomes more than a thought. It becomes a reality, because a realistic thought, because people have the experience, and a lot of them have the network on LinkedIn now. They've gotten smarter in their corporate career to add contacts and relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the ability to go on and say, hey, I can coach another executive who's in my space or who wants to get in my space, do what I did. That is more of a viable prospect. So that's why we chose, okay, let's talk about executive coaching and making the transition from executive coaching or corporate leader into being an executive coach. Because now more and more, we're also seeing in the coaching space where, just like athletes, just like musicians, just like actors, having a coach is what's making the difference between playing an average game or being okay and doing successful. And that applies now into business. And we don't have to sell that proposition. People know it already. Executive leaders know already. That's why companies like Vistage and EO and YPO and so on exist, because people have decided, okay, coaching and peer groups make a difference to me as a business leader. Entrepreneurship is isolation here. As a CEO in a company, building a company, it's a very isolated sport. And having a coach, having a partner, having somebody who is seeing what you're doing side by side and giving you a perspective on looking on your business instead of in your business, allows you to really leverage that leadership, that strategy, that experience and expertise as an owner, as a CEO, as a senior VP, as an executive VP, as a managing director. So this concept of executive coaching for corporate leaders, from corporate leaders who are becoming executive coaches, was a real target, a real place we wanted to spend the next CoachCon session. That's why we created the topic. Moving into it, we're also doing things a little different this CoachCon. We are not necessarily competing with everybody else who's holding a summit and an event and a conference. What we're doing is we want you to see this content in perpetuity. We want you to take the value that we're offering and look at it today, come back to it tomorrow, look at it in a week's time, look at it in a month's time, share it with a friend in 3 weeks when they tell you that they're going to think about it. And so we are actually turning CoachCon's 2-day experience into a recording session. So we are still going to be inviting folks to come in the audience and participate with what we're doing, but this is now going to be an opportunity for those people to engage with the speakers who are going to be sharing their knowledge, have confessionals where you get to be on camera and talk a little bit about what you're experiencing, but also have all of that material then turned into a season of CoachCon, the executive coaching track. And people it will live on our YouTube channel where people can access it and watch it in perpetuity.
And guys, I just want to make sure this is super clear. We want to have this library of professionals and experts so that you have access to it on the YouTube channel, so that you can say, wherever you are in the journey, you've got someone that's been there who understands that. Maybe you're in the health industry, so you want to pull from that part of the library. Some of you want to understand how to build your coaching consulting business because you're moving from executive, right? For many of us who came out of corporate, we're moving into that road. So you're going to be able to pull this knowledge and content off of the YouTube channel. This is why the pivot was so critical, because content is what you guys really want.
And content that's accessible when you need it, right? On demand. A lot of folks told us in the last CoachCon, maybe they couldn't make the time. Maybe the schedule had the sessions where they were too far apart. And so we listened, we iterated, and now we're bringing you a different pivot. And this, I believe, is going to be a long-term strategy. We have way more things planned for CoachCon coming up over the summer. But this is going to be a unique opportunity for people, not just the speakers, but people who want to participate in the content, people who want to better understand how to apply their strategies to their business, how those very folks can engage, can develop breakthroughs, can make a plan of action before they leave the conference, before they leave the recording session, and then help other people with that same content, right? We're recording all of it, so you get to help other people kind of figure out, okay, this means this to me, this means this to that person, and this is how I can apply it to my business or my coaching practice.
Well, and guys, as we, really hone in on what you really want to focus on, some of you guys will, kind of go wide What we're trying to do is save you maybe 5 to 7 years of figuring out that maybe you want to go niche, really want to hyper focus on what you're successful for. This library of content that you're going to access as part of CoachCon's membership, as part of the CoachCon community, this is because you will always have a process that you'll say, how do I do this faster, smarter, and with the least amount of pain? And, you know, Ty, I think about my client right now that I'm thinking, she so dynamic, so well-versed. She knows everything, but she couldn't make a deal happen to save her life.
Yeah.
And literally within 45 days, I mean, she's closing deals, guys, that are now 6-figure deals for her because we just focused on what she could really do and didn't focus on all this fluff and spent another year of losing money, not making money, losing her, you know, her sense of power and purpose because she just kept running in this circle over and over and over again. So Ty, this library of content will help them save time, make them money, and actually become more strategic in their long run of their game.
Yeah, it's going to be, we're creating episodic TV for you guys to be able to watch over and over again, binge watch or watch and then come back to a particular season or a particular episode that you like. But this pivot, this direction, I think will be monumental in guiding people on a regular basis to the path and the destination that they're looking for, right? And you don't have to sign up, and you don't have to wait, and you don't have to attend, and you don't have to dig in your emails for the replays. None of that. This is all convenient. And you get to access the coaches on the platform who are interested in supporting you either one-on-one in different ways. Maybe you like their content, so you want to visit their site and engage with more of them in their audience directly. All of these opportunities are now available to you.
And when we wrap up here today, you know, Ty, where can they go to register? Where they can they reach out to ask questions? Some of you are literally more mature in your coaching business. This is another, you know, way to become aware, be visible to everybody. How do we help them get there?
Yeah, so registration's open. It's on coachcon.global. You can register now. The conference itself, the recording sessions themselves take place on March 24th and 25th. So we're a little bit early. We're about 6 weeks out, but it never hurts to put it on the calendar now. And once it's on the calendar, you guys get to come check it out. Again, it's going to be just a limited number of folks that are participating in the sessions because these are recording sessions. And then we will feature these on the YouTube channel that we are launching for CoachCon.
Exactly. And again, guys, go to coachcon.global for more information. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. We're here. We're available. We'd love to connect and have a conversation. Some of you are still in your corporate job, so you don't know how to make this work, and it's possible. We're going to teach you how. We've all been there. We know what it feels like when you're trying to make this transition, but just need to know where to begin. And so, Ty, I'm so excited for them to connect with us and reach out to us at coachcon.global.
Absolutely.